taxes this year, there are some big reasons to look more closely at that return.
Yeah, the fiscal cliff deal included a flood of last-minute changes that have even some resolute do-it-yourselfers turning to the pros. So we ran one couple's return through 3 different options, and what we found may help you. Life for these newlyweds is mostly fun and games.
707.
Until it comes to taxes.
It's becoming more complicated as our life is becoming more complicated.
Mark and Leslie Nelson have always done their taxes on their own, but after Leslie started a home business, they were eager to volunteer for the KVUE tax test.
Just being, sure of what we can and can't write off.
We asked them to do their taxes online using TurboTax. We also asked them to go to a CPA at Five Stone Tax and to a tax preparer at H&R Block. We wanted to get an expert's take on these tax returns, so we took them here to St. Edward's University.
There were basically 3 kind of areas that popped out.
Louise Single has been teaching taxes for nearly 20 years. She found Mark and Leslie's first mistake on their TurboTax return when they deducted $10,000 worth of medical expenses.
The amount you deduct has to exceed 7.5% of your adjusted gross income, so that's a pretty big number.
Dr. Single says the Nelsons didn't meet that mark.
That would just jump right off the page. Even in a computer match in the IRS, I would expect them to get a letter from the IRS questioning that.
We could have, hit the wrong box.
H&R Block failed to deduct the couple's home mortgage insurance premium, and the Nelsons deducted too much. Dr. Single says the third red flag for the IRS, home office deductions, and she found big differences in all of the returns there. The couple claimed $20,000 in deductions, the CPA $16,000, and H&R Block took the standard home office deduction of $12,000. H&R Block also used an Idaho address for Leslie's home business, which is incorrect.
The CPA was the most conservative.
And got Mark and Leslie the smallest return. Here's what they cost. $135 for TurboTax, $350 for the CPA at Five Stone Tax. H&R Block was the most expensive, $428, $200 more than the estimate they gave Mark and Leslie.
It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, and when questions about it, they were actually kind of harsh, with their responses.
Dr. Single says the CPA did the best job, putting them at the least risk for an audit.
For example, was they just disregarded the things that might be more controversial.
As for the big takeaway in the KVUE tax test,
in certain circumstances, people probably shouldn't do their own tax return.
In the end, Mark and Leslie opted to stick with their TurboTax return, in part because it gave them the biggest return, but they're now having to amend it with the help of Dr. Single because of some of the changes of that fiscal cliff deal. We've got 2 easy ways to help you save money on your taxes. Just look for this